Okay, some in a boat. Hello, I did sign your book. Let how I didn't. You know, I remember these names. Then I saw you. Oh.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
I did not order it. Every jewel I saw it, but it's not disappeared. Oh, short. Hello, Cecily. Well, let's see the more one you come more. Hey, Margaret, you know, I person invite you after the water and English. So Niger, I speak fast. What can I do because he when he answers, you can tell already he thought about this. So now we just answer, we move. But with him, very calculated, very, and then he does this intelligent thing that a lot of people don't even know. Could you please repeat that question? I'm like, no matter what, I give it to repeat that question. Because when someone says, please repeat that question, I want to fully comprehend right? I touched on it earlier. Some of these people, we saw them, we could already tell, right? What do you think was the secret behind us being able to predict Auto Sogodisa, Autoba Tichere, or because that's what we go through. And with the challenges. And he's always been there, carrying the serenity arena, that person who centers us. Now I'm because there are levels to this, right? I'll hear it from him. But what do you think was the key thing in the 10 years that helped us to be able to identify and almost always be 100% correct on who's going to become what and who's going to cause what kind of problems?
From community area especially, Mahai, to put it in that context, Rinali, the traditional oratory only and one of the most famous one is Monakim Ulelate. So that alone is shape a man from Ilongwana a whole, right? So if Ilogore as you grow with that traditional oratory or you tend to hide all the emotions. The one that comes to the forefront, it's almost your defense mechanism. It's you being strong. Even if you want to cry, you put that I'm strong face card out. So and Rivona from these young men, again, things that they are exposed to. Because I believe that, or we believe that, a boy child becomes what he is exposed to. So most of the things that they get exposed to, they get attached to them. Some pulls them in, and it becomes quite difficult for them to get out of those spaces. So those who would maneuver their way out of the bad habits that they were exposed to, or the bad traits they probably tried and felt like, no, this is not me, this is not my way. That's how we manage to identify or get to see who will survive. Sorry for the lack of a better word. Who will survive amongst them? Kimato yang kopini, kimato slegang, kimato dropping out. So with the mentorship again, and we wanna from in the mentorship we wanna from what was that word? How they receive mentorship. Yes, because now when you correct a boy child, I always say doing the right thing is boring, but then you have to do it. Sure. And staying committed to doing the right thing, it's discipline. And discipline on its own, it requires consistency. Once you are consistent in it and it becomes a habit, it becomes a way of life, then that's who you are. That's how I would say we.
Please repeat that.
Oh, consistency. I mean, discipline requires consistency, and then once you are consistent, it becomes a way of life, and that's then overall you. Once it becomes your way of life, you don't even think about it. You don't think about becoming disciplined. That's what you do every day. That's who you are. That again, like I said, how they receive mentorship. A disciplined somebody or level from Engel, being mentored by different mentors. And when I would really move to Moana, problem cannot be with 5 people, rather the problem is with you. And having to use that mentee to outroot those bad traits, bad habits, either it becomes easy or it becomes impossible, through the process of is it impossible or it's not easy, but he's going there. You get to see and you get to identify. I would probably used to say, you can't save them all. I would be frustrated from the session and say, you can't save them all. It made me feel better at that moment, but as Unahana only one, when you want to save them all, because you can see these young men are being lost, and when you want to put them back right on the path. Now what I wish for them to do, Banahani straight, take your decision sober, take your decision mentored. Holani foundation and then Oblandara. That's on you, unfortunately, because Uhola in that space of mentorship, but then you still choose to do the right things, whereas you see your peers doing the right things. So it went back to the traditional oratory. Unfortunately, it's very much straight, in the sense you see from the let me put it in that way. Or require you to be firm, you to be straight, and bring out the manliness in you. But that does not mean manliness as violence. Like we would speak of positive masculinity. There's the positive side, and pretty much that's what we would see and learn how we grow this young.
Because I'm a good teacher. I made sure I pass. And then my wife as well was in the same class as her. But I can't say, I did not take work home. I promise you, it was only after I passed matric that's when I went. No, I promise you, it was a passed matric. But I was helping her patient because I wanted her to pass because of it was long overdue. Anyway, long story short, so then that's how I met Kabelo. Then the mentoring thing and the mentorship thing, that's when I got to understand being a mentor does not mean you know everything, does not mean that you have it all figured out. But there's a little bit of something that you know that those who are younger than you don't know. And then what you do now, you raise your hand and say, then I will come and supplement them. And that's what I did. Because all I knew at that time was that I was good in mathematics and then I can help my young brothers go high. And then little did I know that was going to grow into an actual mentor-mentee type of a thing. And then when he introduced the idea to me, I want to start this movement. It was a no-brainer. It made so much sense. And then we started from that time. Then Maiba Joina, Alfie, like he was quite small. He was very small. I can't think. Anyway, long story short, as they said, it's an introduction. I'm very much proud of what the movement has achieved. Today we are having this book, Boys Become Men. Thinking of where it started, it makes me quite emotional because I did not know a book will come out of how it started. and I'm really much proud of you, Fanaga, for actually, holding the fort and making sure that you realized, yes, it was your idea, but you needed your big brothers and everybody to help you and chaperone this thing into what it is today. So all I can pray for is for it to grow bigger than it is. For the factory in Matrisville, no, today more Atrisville, now Atrisville not that because of had it not been for you, we wouldn't be here. So now the movement is actually growing wings and it's in this community now because of your marriage. Yeah, so
introduction, today, I know that I can pick up the phone and call any of the brothers if I need guidance, support, or simply someone to listen. Whether it's advice on life, helping navigate a challenge, or just assistance in carrying a heavy burden, I am never alone. That in itself is priceless. And then it comes back to say one lesson that has stayed with me over the years, 10 years that is, comes from Kabelo, who once said, we cannot have 5 million rand dreams with 5 rand efforts. And I read this, so it's gonna play on TV sometime next week. And I thought, when I said that, probably and you guys like teasing me on a lot of things that I even said in school. But also, what helps you keep all of these things that Kibulets and Nike Movilo on, and then so what was so meaningful about that first session, that first interaction that led you to come back? Because clearly the story board, I showed no like it's one.
Well, no, somebody. The first session, it was, like I say in the book, the first session was like a hit, and I got hooked. And I say that Kabelo because, some drugs, you take it once and it's with you for the rest of your life. That's what happened with the first session. Right? There's so many lessons. It was kind of like an introduction, but for me it was more than that, because I got to the place and I saw the brothers, and I mean, I grew up without any brothers. I have my brother here, little brother, cousin brother, but I never had any older brothers. So you get to a space where you see all these male figures, and not to say that I didn't have any growing up. I had some amazing male figures, but never once that were young and people I could actually, talk to who would relate to me more. That lesson, the dream, the 5 million rand, I think it was, if my memory serves me correctly, it was the first one of the first, actually. It stays with me, and it'll forever stay with me, because the person that I am, I have dreams, I have big dreams, but the effort that I put in, and I'm still guilty of that till this day, it's very minimal. Like I said, I'm very guilty. Sorry, I'm just thinking about. I'm not trying to get any emotional.
And you're gonna make me cry, okay?
No, I'm the crier, Sorry, can I just have a moment? Because just so you understand why I'm like this now. The impact that all these brothers have had on me, even in my darkest of days, I say that I can call them for whatever that I need. I went from high school to university, and all these brothers were with me. You think that you left the movement back at home, but it follows you to university. I remember we had sessions in Pretoria, and life happened in Pretoria, then I moved to Potchefstroom, and guess what? It followed me there as well. And now I'm a grown little man. I'm a grown man, and I still have the brothers, and I can always just go back to them for anything, really. If I have relationship problems, if I have money problems, if I have, maybe I'm having problems with my family, I can always just go back to the brothers, That's just to explain how or why I'm like this right now, and I'm feeling this way. I'm sorry for that, by the way. But another lesson that you taught me is that as a man, I shouldn't be sorry for how I feel or letting my emotions be seen, right? And sorry, not sorry.
Boy, that's the best way I can explain that I have, and I get emotional because so I used to do car reviews, the transition from tax to Porsche. to the University of the Northwest. I'm gonna tell the part that I feel I can tell, not your story. And Kimarabege, or it was a Thursday, and then I go and check on him. He wasn't doing well, emotionally and psychologically. And I said to him, let's get into the car on Mama and Papa. And Mama and Papa are easygoing. Both of them are teachers, so I can call them and then I can say whatever they want to say. And then we were like, look, we don't think tax is the best environment for Alfie, and a shift is needed. And this guy was in the top 10. You can imagine how environments sometimes are just not for you. And when we got there, Mama and Papa said, and then we agreed that he could move. I move her from those lower marks. Lecturer because he was excelling, and that's why he just managed to. And it's about that, understanding him and knowing that the problem was not him, it was the environment. So sometimes people force you to be in an environment that doesn't actually have to. It's never going to be productive for you. Those that did science will know. Now, the oil elements, you can never mix them. No matter how hard you try, you stay, the oil will still come back. But the point that I'm trying to make, that has just been that space. I'm going to move to Abu Tebo, whom there was a trust element that needed to be there, because inquisitive. So the parents will be so excited that but what distincts him from the rest, actually was Kalwa. And I think that's the distinction. So was Bulela and was Kalan, and an ITD number. Very few people know numbers and actually understand English. But the number given number. Later I get to be 5 physics because now I was always a language person, right? But I want you to take us back to that moment where, one, you agreed to say, I'll write the forward, which for me is, I confirm what this person is saying, if it's true. Even when I called him, he said, if I wanted to so he didn't call, thank God, he then brought in the forward. But I want you to go back to that moment where you agreed to come go high for Garage. What's the Garage? I think the book that I owe the Garage is the dreams from the Garage and how they've turned out to be what they are today, right? So touch on these 2 points. But touch on the point around why you agreed to say this makes sense for us to support this young man. Two, to say, yes, I want to stamp with my name. Because you might not know this, you might, but I want you to know that your name is important. And when people see, they know that, because Mama and Papa will be the so you can affirm that what I'm saying is true. So what made you agree to saying, this needs to be done, and however way I can support it, let me do that.
Thank you so much, Kabelo, for that question. So, when
I think you're close.
Oh, I'm close to this.
Yeah, let me move.
Come on. This is better.
Yeah,
this is better. Mentoring young men. We actually did not say we are mentoring young men. We are like, no man, these kids are so busy with nothing. So then I believe that in IT Minds the Devil's Workshop. So can we find a way to actually usher them into becoming valuable members of the society? And to me it made sense. It made sense. Why? Because I've been doing it, but in my own way. I used mathematics as a tool with which I can engage with young people, because as I teach them the maths, when you are struggling, I get to find out something about your house. I get to find out who high, I get to find out who I can't study, I can't do that. Then you end up actually getting into their personal spaces. So I was doing it in my own way, so that it made sense. It was a no-brainer. That's number one. Number two, it is that me teaching Kabelo maths, and then like when he was grade 10, 11, and 12, until I made him pass matric. Then I got to know this young man. So it made sense that this is somebody who deserves to be supported. And for me, it was like, okay, let us carry that thing that we did and let's just push it forward. And then for me, it was a big thing. I remember my Angelo was asked my Opera, what is your biggest contribution in the world? Opera said, the school that I built in South Africa. And my Angelo was like, no, you have no idea what your contribution is. Because your contribution is every life you touched. And every life that you touch, it touches other lives. Other lives. So you don't know, it's a domino effect. So it's very exponential, you don't know. So for me, Kabelo resembled that, because I was teaching them maths, and the next thing, here he is, he's inspired to actually, mentor young people. So I was like, no, he's paying it forward, he's actually doing it 10 times I was doing it. And that made me so proud. That's why it made sense. So for me to put my name here on the forward, it made sense because I was in the beginning of this thing, in the inception of it, before we even knew what the name of the organization was going to be. All we knew that there was no name to it at all by the time. So I was there in the beginning. For the fact that I was there in the beginning, and then I was there with the young men whom we started with, like Alfie, and when some as well, and then we got other brothers to join us, like the mentorship team. But also Popolo, this guy, the one without hair. So
it still looks better.
So it makes sense for me to put my name on this, because it's me stamping, putting a stamp. No, I confirm what we are saying here. I was here, and then it makes sense, and then people should know the importance of actually mentoring young people, of actually ushering them and making sure that you become their voice of reason when they are in doubt. There is an older person's voice that actually confirms and affirms them in everything that they do. But Alfie, you will drop a text. But that is exactly what we needed. So Kabelo, so this made sense, and I'm really proud that my name is there. My name has never been in any book, guys. This is the first book my name is on. So but
we'll see, you will make sense. And those that are closer can move to the side. I would Popolo, I would Isang, just to make space. Don't worry, we'll see you. No one is going to forget you. We have more space in English. So now I speak fast. Because he when he answers, you can tell already he thought about this. So now we just answer, we move. But with him, very calculated, very. And then he does this intelligent thing that a lot of people don't even know. Could you please repeat that question? I'm like, no matter what, I to repeat that question. Because when someone says, please repeat that question, I want to fully comprehend right? I touched on it earlier. Some of these people, we saw them, we could already tell, right? What do you think was the secret behind us being able to predict Otob Sogodisa, Otoba Tichere, or because that's what we go through. And with the challenges. And he's always been there, hearing the serenity sarena, that person who centers us. Now I'm because there are levels to this, right? I'll hear it from him. But what do you think was the key thing in the 10 years that helped us to be able to identify and almost always be 100% correct on who's going to become what and who's going to cause what kind of problems?
Kolebua buti. Eriki ki busetsenya na ko marane. Kena hana hore from community area especially. Mahai, to put it in that context. Renali, the traditional oratory only 2 minutes and one of the most famous one is Monaki Ulelate. So that alone is shape a man from Elengwana Hufika Ahola, right? So if Ilogore as you grow Olemona with that traditional oratory, you tend to hide all the emotions. The one that comes to the forefront, it's your almost your defense mechanism. It's you being strong. Even if you want to cry, you put that I'm strong face card out. So yeah, and Ribona from these young men, again, things that they are exposed to. Because I believe that, or we believe that, a boy child becomes what he is exposed to. So most of the things that they get exposed to, they get attached to them. Some pulls them in, and it becomes quite difficult for them to get out of those spaces. So those who would maneuver their way out of the bad habits that they were exposed to, or the bad traits they probably tried and felt like, no, this is not me, this is not my way. That's how we manage to identify or get to see who will survive. Sorry for the lack of a better word. Who will survive amongst them? Kimato yang kopini, kimato slegang, kimato dropping out. So with the mentorship again, and we wanna from in the mentorship we wanna from what was that word? How they receive mentorship. Yes, because now when you correct a boy child, I always say doing the right thing is boring, but then you have to do it. Sure. And staying committed to doing the right thing, it's discipline. And discipline on its own, it requires consistency. Once you are consistent in it and it becomes a habit, it becomes a way of life, then that's who you are. That's how I would say we.
Please repeat that.
Oh, consistency. I mean, discipline requires consistency, and then once you are consistent, it becomes a way of life, and that's then overall you. Once it becomes your way of life, you don't even think about it. You don't think about becoming disciplined. That's what you do every day. That's who you are. That again, like I said, how they receive mentorship. A disciplined somebody or from Engel, being mentored by different mentors. And when I problem cannot be with 5 people, rather the problem is with you. And having to use that mentee to outroot those bad traits, bad habits, either it becomes easy or it becomes impossible, through the process of is it impossible or it's not easy, but he's going there. You get to see and you get to identify. I would probably used to say, you can't save them all. I would be frustrated from the session and say, you can't save them all. It made me feel better at that moment, but as Unahana only one, when you want to save them all, because you can see these young men are being lost, and when you want to put them back right on the path. Now what I wish for them to do, Banahani straight, take your decision sober. Take your decision mentor. Holland Foundation and then Oblanda. That's on you, unfortunately, because Ohola in that space of mentorship, but then you still choose to do the right things, whereas you see your peers doing the right things. So it went back to the traditional oratory. Unfortunately, it's very much strict, in the sense that you see from the let me put it in that way, or require you to be firm, you to be straight, and bring out the manliness in you. But that does not mean manliness as violence. Like we would speak of positive masculinity. There's the positive side of it. And yeah, pretty much that's what we would see and learn how we grow this young man.
Dama no bele to fit away. Okay, move forward. I mean, cares. Eh, ook, ik wil het doen. Let things serious. But I was not I was here. When we talk about jobs, keep on another. Who take up shoe or those that want books. Kia or that choose. We're gonna take the first round of questions like halfway. You know, half time. Choose. There's a spirit. First round. Those that are ready. Whatever question that you have. Baba nkoba topa. Nzeba fat.
In front of all of you because I asked him like via WhatsApp and I wasn't satisfied with the answer. I'm a boy mom. My mom. Wow, my son is 12. I haven't turning 13 or 12, turning 13. I'm sure, but he's there. I think the reason I'm frustrated is because the was okay, and that's why I actually came here today. And thank you for such things. I've attended most of his book launches. Well, I did all the book launches, and there's mother-son brunch thing, which I hope is going to come back again. So going back to my question. I have a detail.
No, I'll hold this way, don't worry. Just trying to figure out.
Abiti Temple said that he is very grateful that you married in Pele and you brought this here.
Yeah.
I want to know, when are you bringing YMM here, this side, around?
I'll remember
for
that
people.
question.
No.
No, I'm saying I will remember to answer.
Okay, yeah, so I needed to come, we need help.
Jimena.
Okay.
Sha, I'm sorry I'm late, but
No worries.
being punctual and typical, no. I have a problem. My name is Matepo Rasubutse, and these young boys that are sitting here, I'm supposed to be the assistant. It's very warm-hearted, and I don't have a question, I have a comment. Corey, from where you've grown and to where you are now, you felt that you needed to give back to the community that we come from. I grew up in Bangkok. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, I left in 1994. So it's been 30 years in Pretoria. But home is home. It never ends. I appreciate what you're doing. And Kabelo, I think you need to take this further. It's not only young boys that are struggling with them becoming men, but it's men also trapped in young boys' bodies who are struggling with life today because of what they have exposed to. Some are finding it difficult to develop their own culture from where they have been brought up. And because they never have this kind of engagement where your mindset can be triggered to say you are not who you have been. What is that word? You are not who you. Like like the situation that you grew up within. It's not where you come from. It's not not your circumstances. English, you see. Thank you. And I think it's things like this that we do not get exposed to as communities. It would have been, and I'm challenging the four of you to say, Princess here was asking her why, when are you bringing it here? It doesn't have to be in the title of YMM. We need a bigger title.
But yeah. Like boys' bodies.
You are grown now, but your brain is somewhere. That's why.
Yes. So, could we say that the patriarchy plays a role? As much as the patriarchy is a system made to benefit men, it doesn't necessarily benefit black men. Yes. the privileges that a black man has are not the same as those that a white man has, unfortunately, right? And in black communities, a lot of topics are suppressed. One of the realities of growing up as a young black man is that there are certain conversations we struggle to have with our parents. Our parents, they grew up in those days, they've internalized, they lived in a system where patriarchy is a system that rules, right? And they've internalized those views to the point that when they raise boy children, they struggle to have these conversations with them because they themselves never got the opportunity to get that exposure. And I think it's important that these boys know that trying new things, getting exposure is not as bad because they tend to limit themselves. They tend to, the reason I'm saying the patriarchy also harms black men is because you hear them, oh, they limit themselves. Oh no, I cannot be a nurse because I'm a man, I want to do engineering, I want to work in construction. And the patriarchy also tells men that they cannot express themselves. And that is why we have high rates of men who commit suicide, right? So us as like the new generation, we could teach our sons that it's okay to, express yourself. It's okay to expose yourself to a lot of different things. And that is one of the reasons why we have high rates of crime, because they tend to oh, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go to school. And the standards that they set were actually standards that are set in the Western context set are standards set or standardized for white people. Oh yeah. No, that was it. Don't you think the patriarchy plays a role and we could change that?
It's based on maybe you or the other people can answer. I once popped into a podcast where it was, I think I asked you about it, but it was vaguely so. So my question is to the single moms who raise men. Do you agree with the statements that says that those men are, how do I put it, in a sense that they are seen as providers and all those to their partners, but emotionally there is that feminine side that deprive them for being the men that they're supposed to be. So instead of saying, I'm the provider, so I buy food, I take care of the kids, but they somehow forget the emotional support that they're supposed to be given to their partners. So how does this book going to teach the boys out there not to be the finance provider, just the physical part of the life? How does it going to encourage us to be men, to be more openly about their emotions, like you were saying in your Power FM interview that I listened the other day? I'm supposed to do that. So that's the question I'm saying. How do we encourage our young men to be more emotionally supportive to their wives in the world? Because you can't always be all physical, or there's always there's the feminine side. Because I'm raised by a female, by a single mom, I don't have a father figure. So my life, I will live as a female figure without being scared to show my masculinity because of how will the world take me where I know. That's why they think for it. Some men, they think for by gay, even though it's how the world sees them anyway. So how do we encourage them to be more in touch with their emotional? I think that way the mentality and the mental, to get to my point, the mental distress comes. So men must be able to deal with their mental instability, so that they can be free to say, I don't feel well. The wife can also come and help out. So you can't always be the provider for all of your life. You also need support. So how do men identify, like the single mom should identify? Should the book help us as single moms or even married moms who are raising men in our feminine way, because that's how we want our husband to be. Like they were saying, men attracting boys. So the husband doesn't see their part because they're also trapped in that boy. So how will the book help us to grow into the men into better people?
Okay. Any question, comment? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been part of all the books that Kabelo has written, and then I've also had the questions, some of the questions that you've asked him. If you read the first book, The Journey, it explains that you can be a greater man. And I would like to believe that all the 3 books, I haven't read the third one, they have a way where they are linking of you to see that you can raise a better man, as we see him from growing up, Onalibo, Stacey, Bokuku, and others. So I'm just gonna tell you guys to buy all the books, especially A Journey. It's gonna tell you how well you can do as a woman to raise a boy child. I don't know about anyone, I haven't read the context and whatsoever. And I also know that we are now at a point where we are being told that there is fatherless behavior, where they can point out that there is no father in this house. But I believe that there is no way we're going to point that there is a father or there is no father. You as a parent, it's your duty to actually raise a child. We've got a community. You don't have to raise your child only one. Still use that thing for one out to a community and stop and you'll see how greater kids will have.
Different people from different backgrounds with different stories, and everybody was engaging into everything. Like everybody had opinions about something. So I like to be in those kind of spaces where everybody has opinions, everyone wants to build something, everyone wants to try something. So YMM was that pillar for me, and yeah, I don't have many words, Mara. Thank you guys.
You know, just to say, if you want to know what I said, just buy the book. There's a letter. His letter is so emotional. Any other comment?
Where society does not offer you guys safety. And for him, as young as he was at the time, to feel that for himself, it really means that it had touched him in that way. And I think Ila and Dolena, that we need to try to have, Usisi spoke about being umama to a boy child. And the safety of that is important for him to know. Like, I think, okay, we would say your feelings are valid as a man. You are allowed to express yourself. Someone mentioned without violence. I think panelist yet someone said that. So for that, because we are living. I'm a point to someone mentioned that there are men who are still in a boy's mind, and it tells a lot about how safe that boy was that when he has to express himself as a man, he still feels demeaned. So Nati, as the sisters and the wives and aunts, we have Ilona in guys. We have no. We have to. It's on us. Let me put it simply. It's on us. We have a responsibility. Thank you. We have that responsibility. We need to make it safe for you guys to be, and to accept you as you are, and to help you to not be scared to be vulnerable. because tina sihlezi si-vulnerable, sikhanyiswa yiyo yonke into, and ants dies here, we cry. So yilowo nje ukuthi I'm really loving the safety that YMM has offered to the males in the room, and I believe it will continue because it's a moving and growing movement. Thank you.
One more hand. We identified mentors early on in my life. Late principal passes on as Nkosi, he had to change his surname. I still have some of them. So I knew that you needed somebody that you can look up to. Uncle, he used to coach me during my athletics days, go primary, go polo, men that I look up to, change careers. So every stage of my life, I identified men that I can always connect with. That who do I look up to? Born that my wife understands that now like 60 and above. And then when you realize how crude they can be with the truth, you can see with them when I speak to them more. Filtering, yes, I do have a little bit of a filter, but in most cases I just dish up things as they are. Sushi, I well, no, it's most of the stuff I dish up, it's raw. But I've also grown to understand who understands that part of me. I can do that in the I can do that in Alfred. I can't do that with my Chris. So I'll say Chris or Mama because I know that if it comes from me, it's not going to land very well. And I will also know that. So it's always having people. Now I can call Brendan and Giloko. I explained to him my black problems as a white man who grew up in different countries. He's 65 this year, he will understand what I'm going through. So I think the important thing is when you know that there are a lot of people that depend on your cup, you must have other multiple cups that will always feed into yours so that yours never runs dry. And in that way, you sustain yourself in doing that. And I think that is the most important part. We never did this to be famous. We never did this to anybody else. So, and another thing I'm generally uncomfortable with is people telling me what I did. It's like, oh my, it's like, so I'm always happy to do what I need to do and keep quiet and then move on, right? Because we're not doing it for any other reason except for the fact that we just want to see change in their lives and just for them to be better. Back to you.
No, you guys are no, this is too much. Yeah, so going back to the thing of who's pouring into you, one of the things that I've learned at the very early stage is when you go pouring, not everybody loves you, but those that do are enough for the assignment that God has for you on this earth. Those that do. So as a result, then I realized that I was looking for, because you said something in Sapori, when you're looking for help, for somebody to point to you because you are a mentor, you pour into other people, there's nowhere, like no one's anywhere to be found. I thought so, but I realized that now I was looking for the help I wanted, that I thought I needed or wanted. But help was always there. Give you an example, one of the best comforters I have in my life is my wife. She's one of the people who knows how to say certain things to me that no any other person in this world can. But she was always there. For some odd reasons, they say familiarity breeds contempt. So it's because of philosophy somehow I trivialized Mafoko Ahahe or her support to an extent. That's one person. So yes, I've always had people who poured into me like in my upbringing, but now I'm talking about I as a mentor now. What do I do? I make sure that I like there are spaces. There's this thing that we go to, we call it, the name sounds weird, but it's not that. It's called Pillow Talk. It's not that. It's something. I know. It's at night, so yeah. So I know, but it's not that. But it's serious issue. So spaces like those, and in those spaces, I'm the only man, by the way. Hey, no man wants to attend that because of whomever who attend. So I'm there to take it for you guys. Like I'm taking one for the team. So being in spaces like those help me, and then I humbled myself enough to accept help from wherever it comes from. That's one of the things. And one of the things that I learned, again, anyone and everyone that you meet always assume that they have something to teach you. There is something that she knows that I don't know. Everyone, irrespective of where they are, whichever walk of life that they're in. So to be honest with you, Azweli, it's that humility that helped me to actually see relevant. Actually, there's help almost everywhere. No, Kabelo.
Already, the question around, the book is directed to me, so I need to answer that one. When I will answer Patrick, okay. So what happened in this assignment was I picked 6 personalities or characters and then threw them into the alumni group to say, hey, who do you think of? And they started throwing names. Who is the quiet one? They started throwing names. And funny enough, we all could agree, because there have been a lot of them over the years. And then by summarizing all of those things, I started to talk about the different characteristics that you will then meet in a son. Some may be dual. I can also be quiet. So you will then get to see all of those. So for a mom raising a single mom raising a boy child, she will get to understand different phases and perhaps learn the different mechanics of how to deal with that particular part of their lives. Because people tend to think that because no, but different kinds of bashimanis that you're going to come across. So the book actually answers that. When these boys become men, who teaches them? Who makes time to know that, is the quiet one? This one just needs a little bit of love. This one needs this and this and that. So once you can do that, you are able to also deal with the men, your boyfriend, your husband, and so on, in understanding that, because we differ, and understanding that is going to be important. And if the boyfriend or the husband or the partner also speaks to you often, you also get to understand, where does he fall in all of these different characteristics, or which ones are dual in that particular space. But we'll come back to that. Alfie. As we wrap up, right? Right? So, do you still feel that there is a role for mentorship and that brotherhood as you go into your 30s? That's where you're heading?
Yes. No, 100%. One of the first things Abuti said to me when he came in here, he said to me, Senzonyari.
Did I not say that also?
I think, you asked me 2 weeks ago from Kinyalani. Abuti asked me, he said to me, and I said, no, get and he kept calling my girlfriend my fiance. No, not yet. She's not my fiance yet. And he kept insisting when he introduced her to Abuti Pops, he said, this is the wife. So, for me, that's more than just a joke. It's still mentoring. Okay, how do I force to I think you posted a status a day ago. Sometimes. What did you say? He who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Favor in God. Endless favor.
Amen.
Okay.
That's also, like I said, it's part of mentoring, and I don't think I'm ever gonna stop needing a mentor. I say, so I'm turning 27 this year. There's still certain conversations I can't have them with my father. I don't know why or how, but I cannot have them with my father. I mean, the first time I told my father I have a girlfriend was, when was it? This year, last year. He's never seen me with a girl. You know what? I'm not gonna have grandkids. Sorry, Papa, but that's how difficult it is. Like my sister there said, being a black young man, and it's never gonna stop, Abuti. Even when I'm 40 years old, there's certain conversations I'm never gonna have with my pops. Never. Mothers, you guys are cool. Thank you so much. But also, what the reason I emphasized for a young black man, I've been exposed to different races all my life. Those are my boys. one of them asked me when I think I was 10.
Why are you changing accent?
I didn't change an accent.
Okay.
Sorry. One of them asked me, I think I was turning 18. I'm like, no, it's my birthday in a couple of months. Said, yo, bro, when are you gonna have the first beer with your dad? First beer with my dad. What? You guys do that? My mom was like, yeah, I have the first beer with my dad. So that got me thinking, if you're able to have your first beer with your father, what conversations do you guys engage in together? It means this young guy, he's free to go and say, Papa, I have a girlfriend, and the father will say to him, hey, condomize, don't date different women at the same time, be safe, do this, do that. And we make a lot of mistakes. So that's where you guys come in now to say, okay, I give it to you, but in the meantime, do 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Got you.
And please don't say I'm in my late 20s. Also,
why?
I'm just a young man. She says I'm getting old.
And that's very interesting because that conversation is not easy, eh? And I'm glad because I'm like, because now I was conflicted. I'm like, why am I not about something that was another job? But then I realized, actually, you are the safe space. It's the space that it's so easy to then pour in so much about it. So that is why mentorship can't be seasonal. And I think sometimes this year, you are not in your right space, but they want you. They want you as you are. That verse that says, come as you are. They don't know my bad days. Because to them, I'm always green in that. And I never have to take my issues to them. That's why that next layer is important. So when I have issues, I take it to the next layer. So that when they have issues, I've opened up that space to take there. So that is always that ecosystem, right? I'm going to take the last 3 questions, get them ready. So the first and 2 more, we're good. Did this thing look like what you thought it was when we started? And how has it impacted you as a dad, as a community leader? And I must also say, date, right? But you put a date in here to do. Then we'll have a certificate and say, so it's an important part of just how you move in this thing. So transit to move it together. But back to you, how has this changed you in particular? Because we have spoken about how and we find out actually we also need them. But are there specific things that you feel this and this was a result of that?
A tough one, eh? Honestly, I it was not predictable, and that's what's more fascinating. Because we run to well, not everything. Who about the results? Like very clearly you want to refer like that. So fortunately for YMM, and into eki ratan tata about the journey that we took. And we focus on it. Kigerata Hulewa Hunseba who give a mentor this young man, like in Chinchilla, in Hoodie to be in talking, especially Mogi Bergan, like you touched the community Changon and Mogi Bergan. You need to be patient with people because Kiberaga cover to every day. So I Mutuno Taluku, you have to be calm because for you buy a house, unfortunately. So go I learned and it would be hard. Honestly, Nekisi Mutu Okela, because I've never seen anyone who I and 7 siblings. We have only 1 sister. I've never seen my brothers cry. I've never seen my granddad. I've never seen my dad cry. So hopefully you then learn all my life I've been putting stickers to the emotions, the negative feeling, you would see, these are kids of Basari, these are for Basari, and take it emotion as a one. So fortunately, Go YMM where it utter such things where you need to feel every emotion as it comes. If you feel over the last the crying still YMM whenever you may, and I'm happy to have to experience that, because had I bottled things up, probably no go about the worst person, no go about moody and all that. So I feel every emotion as it comes. And again, I learned that in life, do not ever impose anything on anyone. You know, teaching or mentoring, it's about giving and taking. So what I've taken is that never impose. You know, whenever you impose your ways onto people, you are trying to do your replica, and it's quite impossible. Motola only his or her own traits, you know. And also, what I learned the most, and it's amazing, is that you get to understand Hore, in our mentoring journey, only the family doctrines. You know, you don't mess with those things. Even if when you mentor this young man, you don't change their family ways, how they do things go high. Instead, you direct the characters, you direct the traits, you channel them into the right channel. And then Bona in their own time, in their own space, but Olena, the family traits still on worry, the family doctrines still on worry, Gabatuza to evolve to be better men, or the worst man. And I really appreciate the journey that we do.
And then you realize for any place outside of where we come from, it's very difficult to start something with a man. The reason why YMM works where it works is because it's a community-based organization. And CBOs work in such a way that we build a community around them to protect them, right? And even these boys, whoever I can't say, hey, okay, you so there are also certain things that it's also difficult for me to want to push them away. So the dream is there, but can we find people in those communities that are born there that would help us introduce this to them, and then we just workshop them and then we move out? That's what we can do. What we cannot do is to come and try and establish things. I'll be fine. It's just another community. But the township life is a very complex. It's very complex in its own nature. Ask my wife, I get frustrated every day. So imagine having now to go to the ground where and it's familiar how. So there are those little things that if you say there's a group we need to workshop and then they start, tell us about easy ways, church, all those institutions that are already in the community, we can jump on that and then we will be ready to come. Anyway, people have tried. Never kiss up on couple in Samai, bring me 5 hours research. Don't give up on the lady during sponsorship. So do you understand how hard it is? Now, here's what made it work for us. Sponsorship, spa, commits to 3 years, has passed Maya. What are you gonna do? You see? So if I would follow articles at 300, I would say about 150, negative 500, and then we just keep rotating. This thing is going to keep going because it does not depend on any other external forces but us. And that's how we manage to have I'll be a lot of our city. I get little notes up like sessions for high, they were weird. They could pop in Balify if somebody kiss a shade. My mom knew. Like, so there was no plan around. And it came up people who fail. No, man, just told her. She said, well, where like just so sessions will just come out of nowhere. They want to have a session. And session up negative, like, yes, we're not there for the food, but we want to eat. So those are some of the things that will come to that. Identify an institution will come to support them. And when I was in a meeting, I didn't have the account number for YMM. It was with Mundi. this man says to me, his flight is in about 30 minutes, and he wanted to deposit 40,000. We were doing a school shoe project. I read your article every Wednesday. So when I remember account number right now I can send me your personal account. That makes sense. 40,000 like in seconds, just after I dropped it. And I realized that trust is also a very big part of what you do. That take the money, let it go where it must go. Because that's what makes it easier. I'd rather send it to my mom or my sister and say, "Shall they ever get to the YMN?" So that I never get myself involved in that part. But succession, I've spoken to Alfie, I've spoken to Bongan, about my teacher, so is their thing, right? So we are safe in that. It's a question of when are they going to start? Not us. Now retired technically. I've even given them a manual in the form of a book. There's someone who's writing another book that's coming soon. So they will have manuals that they can just look into. We will oversee them in terms of Marawafana. I don't think we even need to oversee them. That's how brilliant they are at what they do. So I think it's a question of when do they want to begin and get going. Maybe they will come to social movement. Or when it's clear, Baba.
Yes.
Bongani lives in Asheville. Yeah. So Bongani can start a movement in Asheville. I'll do somewhere go Majosi, because so he also has a sense of what such kind of spaces do.
And man thing. I think that's the mindset we need to have. And I wanted to make an example of the lady that has actually caused me and Kabelo to meet. It's a lady who created such a movement called Kabelo Foundation, of which now, looking at the township and some of the potential mentors that were interviewed, that were vetted, and at the end of the day, will remain there. But it's actually now a lady who started that foundation. So I just wanted to encourage that, as well as to say, within the environment that as ladies you are in, try to identify those people that can actually run with this thing and start the process already, because it's not necessarily that it's only the male figures that must start this and run with it, but you as well as ladies, you can make a huge contribution to it by starting it.
To thank each and every one of you who are here today for taking your time, your money, for supporting us, because when you're supporting us, you're supporting our household. We are able to buy nappies for the twins. So, but jokes aside, thank you very much to each and every one of you for supporting Mr. C and his dream. Thank you for investing in it. It really means a lot, guys. When I came into this, I came in blindly. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. You know, I just saw a handsome man, one juggling and all of that. You'll read about it if you haven't read about it in the journey. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into until one day I had to go to Bango to one of the sessions. And I feel a lot busy. I'm like, but I think afterwards you get such a fulfillment that you continue going back. So thank you. And to you, Mr. C, thank you for believing in the boy child. I think you know, when we got the news of our first child, I laughed because it's a boy. They were like, it's a boy. I was like, oh God, yeah, you play games, man. Because now it's like we have pressure that these young men must turn out into good young men, right? But equally remembering that there's a girl in the mix, because God always plays these jokes, guys, who we must also ensure that we nurture as much as we're nurturing the guys.
understanding you know. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, sharing yourself. For me also, always honali such things, it's quite interesting because I also get to learn about a lot of things that I might not have known, right? You know, we dated 1 year and we got married after that, so I mean, I don't know much about this guy. So through the encounters, I get to learn each and every day because not all of it, right? So thank you. And funny enough, actually, I just remembered this. The first trip we took to Nelspruit was to Belfast, was for the KG Foundation Day. And I was like, why am I here? But she might when she saw. And you're like, that he's speaking a language I don't even understand, but seeing his passion and how he just sparks up when he gets to deal with these boys. It's beautiful. I hope you guys get to witness it beyond this, right? Maragan, this was right succession planning because Rati and Orishan Chun didn't want to be leaders. Lelo was right because they can't go to Bangkok every day, so we must make means to spread it, you know, and we've made the connection, so it should happen, right? Again, please buy t-shirts, Kumakam. What about the boys? You are supporting the boy child. It's also another one that's very close to our hearts because it's through YMM that we were able to actually spread beyond Bangkok, right? The first meeting, What About the Boys, happened 2 days after our wedding. On our way back, Kali 5th October. Yeah, 2, 3, 4 October, 4th October. And he was in a meeting with the Prime Stars team, and that's where it all began. So please support us. Buy the book, buy the t-shirts. We are supporting the boy child. One child at a time, again. A step is a step, no matter how small it is. But yeah, well done, Mr. C. Yeah, Tonda.
Amazing with the and I go for how. Oh, it is but you don't take pictures.